We had former President Bill Clinton being questioned for hours about his alleged ties to Jeffrey Epstein. It comes after the House Oversight Committee threatened to hold him in contempt. Let's bring in Republican strategist Matt Klink and Princeton University political scientist Lauren Wright. Thank you both for coming on. Lauren, to you first. I want to play, as Nita was talking about, I want to play both GOP Congressman James Comer and Nick Langworthy on President Clinton's deposition. Here's what they said.
President Clinton answered every question or attempted to answer every question.
I think President Clinton today was quite candid, probably more candid than his attorneys were comfortable with.
Yeah, it's interesting because Clinton also said when he was asked about President Trump, he says he doesn't know anything that Trump did wrong, any connection or any reason to do something wrong. So it's kind of interesting the turnabout of this today, Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, look. Why is he wearing the twin shirts? Why is he in the jacuzzi? These are valid questions. If you're a former president of the United States, you don't need money. You definitely don't need power or connections. Why are you hanging out with this terrible person? But with that said, you know, my take on all of this has sort of been that we're jumping to a lot of conclusions very quickly with no evidence. And so we should ask the questions and investigate. But I really don't like this guilty by association, broad brush, broad sweep. If you're in the files, you did something wrong. I don't think that's the kind of country we live in, and we need to be careful.
Yeah, guilt by association is not what we're going for here. Meantime, we have President Trump in Corpus Christi talking about the economy, and he's also still talking about the Democrats. At the State of the Union, he said this.
When I asked the question, stand up if you love our country, think of it, and you love great American patriots, but don't stand up if you don't, or if you love illegal alien criminals. And not one of them stood up. They got killed in that.
I mean, that silent sit down, Matt, has become a political commercial. It's going to be a lot of, you know, it's momentum, it's ammunition for the Republican Party for the next 8 months. I can tell you that.
Yeah, Trace, it speaks volumes about just how extreme the mainstream Democratic Party has gone. It was 8 years ago that they were talking about the importance of border security, closed borders, and now not one will stand to say that it's the priority of the American government to look after American citizens, not illegal aliens. It's a pretty sad day.
Yeah, it really is. Meantime, Lauren, for you, and Common Sense has got to take on this a little later, but it's kind of a fascinating story we've been talking about here in California. You know, it's California paroling a man convicted of kidnapping and molesting 8 children between the ages of 3 and 7. They paroled him because, you know, this new elderly parole policy they have. But I want to put you this back and forth here. This is the back and forth. At the parole hearing, this is with the commissioner. The president of the commissioner says, "Are you still attracted to female children?" David Funston responds saying, "Yes, I am." Then she asks, "Do you want to say yes or no?" Okay. David Funston says immediately, "Yes." And then she says, kind of surprised, "Yes." And Funston says, "Yes, ma'am." And what do moments later, Lauren? They parole him. They say, "You need to be released from prison." He still clearly is a monster. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is not going to play well for Gavin Newsom because that's his board. Even though he was against this move, this is not going to play well for much of California."
Yeah, I don't know what the progressive take on this is. I don't know the other side of the argument. And, you know, my sister happens to be one of the most talented psychologists in Los Angeles. She's probably the most open-minded, rehabilitation-focused person I know. And she said the government needs to do every single thing in its power to keep this guy away from kids. I mean, there is no counter argument here. Luckily, he's back behind bars. But yeah, the parole board, we need to take a look at that. There's a lot of nonsense happening there. It's absolutely sick.
You're exactly right. He is back behind bars on different charges, but had nothing to do with the parole board. The parole board signed off on that release so this guy could walk free, and he was supposed to do so last night. Meantime, KTLA writes the following here. A proposed California bill could pave the way for undocumented Californians ages 19 and older to once again receive Medi-Cal coverage beginning January 1, 2027. Here we are, back to giving health benefits for illegal immigrants when the state can't afford it. We stopped doing it because the state can't afford it. Like, oh, we got to get the money somewhere. Let's give it to them.
Trace, it's endemic to the Democratic Party in California. It's what happens when we have a one-party rule for decades. This is a potential voting constituency for the Democrats, and even though the Democrats will say we give no federal money to anybody who's in this country illegally, they're kidding themselves. They do a lot. They get a lot of benefits, more benefits in many cases than Americans. Yeah. And it's something that the rest of America is appalled at.
And something the state of California cannot afford. They try to hide it, but they can't afford it.
Cannot.
Plain and simple. Matt Klink, Lauren Wright, thank you both.